Welcome to a video on the HelloID provisioning. I'd like to create a new custom target connector with you guys today. So we're on the dashboard and let's move into the target systems. When you create a new target system, other than AD for instance, you might want to choose the PowerShell Target Connector. Now in this case I've already created one, which is based on an existing connector which we've published on our GitHub repo. So if you go to the GitHub repo on Tools Forever BV and then you search for the target HelloID one, and this is actually a target connector which creates accounts in HelloID. Since HelloID is its own identity provider, it has accounts and groups. And we can use the HelloID native API to create those user accounts and assign groups. Now we've already developed the scripts for use in the target connector. So basically we just copy and paste everything that's listed here into into the different dialogues that are presented. Let's see how that works. For instance, I have my create script here, and you push the raw button, and then you see the script that you can easily copy paste, right? Now, when I go into a provisioning connector and I go to the to a target connector and I go to the wrench icon, to the account, you have your different life cycles. And for instance, the script that I just showed you guys, I can copy that here into my create dialog. Just copy paste it here. And you see that this script is already pretty much self-sufficient since it features configuration, which I'll show you in a little bit on how that works. The only thing that you might need to modify is to create a default password for your user account. So that's the only thing that needs configuring in this script. Now, in the same way, you can copy the other scripts for delete, update, enable, and disable, which are also featured. They're also listed here. If you go back to the repo index, you see here the delete, disable, enable, and the update. And then there's these three scripts: the entitlements, the grant and revoke, and also a configuration JSON. Now let's see how that works. The configuration, we have custom connector configuration, and that allows you to move any configuration parameters which you would normally hard code in your scripting. You can move that outside of your scripts and put that where it belongs in a configuration UI that you can build yourself. So let's see how that works. The JSON that I just pointed out, this one, the configuration JSON, you just copy paste that in this window where normally you'll find when you create a new connector, you'll find that there is a lot more listed here because basically the boilerplate lists all the available options. So you can just adapt that to whatever you need. And in this case, we need the configuration for my HelloID API connector is pretty simple. I need a URL, I need my API key and my secret. So this is how you build the UI so that you're able to specify that configuration. That's already pre-built, so just copy paste it in, apply, and then when you apply, this configuration tab will automatically appear. And you can specify the values for your environment. Now, how do you get those values? Well, the portal base URL is pretty obvious. This is the URL listed in your browser. Now, the API key, you might need to generate API keys for that. So I move to the regular HelloID admin dashboard, and then I go to security API, and then you can do a new add API key. And then you'll find that it generates a new API key for you. You might want to add a note saying, okay, I'm going to be using this as a HelloID provisioning target connector. And if you go to the API key, you can view the key and also toggle, and here's the secret. Right? So you copy paste those into the configuration here. And so we've covered the lifecycle scripts, we've covered the configuration, and now it's the turn for the permissions. See, when you're working with Active Directory, your permissions are probably going to be group memberships, right? Now, HelloID accounts, there's also HelloID groups. So you may want to assign HelloID groups to your new HelloID user when you create them. And to assign them, you also want to list them. You want to have some kind of selection box where you can select the available groups in HelloID. And that means that we need to supply some kind of logic to query them. And that's where this comes in. So you have your retrieve permissions, which is basically your logic to generate the list of available groups so that you can select them in your business rule. Now, we've also pre-built those scripts, so there's not much to do there. You can just get your entitlements. It should be named permissions actually. Entitlements is a different one. So, and anyway, you get this script for entitlements. You copy paste it in, hit apply, and then you have your permission grant and revoke, which is basically the logic on how a group membership in HelloID is going to be assigned. If you want to assign a group membership in Active Directory, you do an add AD group member and remove AD group member. HelloID already knows how to do that. But for this target connector, HelloID doesn't know how to assign a group because that's also API driven. You need to tell the HelloID API to assign the newly created user to that group, right? So these so copy paste these values as well for the grant and remove, and then the connector is basically done. So what's the end result now? Well, let's move into business rules where we can assign who gets an account for HelloID. But business rule is currently empty, so let's assign, I have all my persons here, let's make a rule so that Adam Stewart gets a HelloID account. Now, I can create a HelloID account for Adam, for instance. So I need to scope my rule only for that specific person. I can do that here. I can scope on a person attribute, and when I take the external ID and I do Adam S, then you'll see, oh, okay, the rule is now only scoped for Adam Stewart. Right. So, okay, let's do that. I'm going to hit apply, and then I'm going to add the entitlements. Now, for Active Directory, you choose account and your group memberships. And for HelloID, we've made sure that there's also an account and account access. And if you enable this entitlement, the create script will be executed. If you add this entitlement, the enable script will be executed. And these are the HelloID groups that are retrieved by that entitlements logic that we've just put in our connector. So it builds just a list of all the HelloID groups. So let's make sure we have account and, for instance, Elastic reports read. So, and we can do save and publish. Now notice that these ones are in a specific sequence because the connector knows, okay, I need to grant the account first because I can only add permissions to an account that already exists, right? So these ones are purposely executed in a specific sequence. Now I do save and publish. It says, okay, a new user with 2 new entitlements, right, save and publish. So whenever you save and publish a rule, it becomes eligible for the evaluation. Now, let's do the evaluation. And the evaluation will calculate the net result of all my rules. And it says, okay, I need to create an account and add the permission afterwards. And if I'm satisfied with this result, which I am, I can do the enforcement. So you see now with the double play arrow that it's actually enforced. And I can view the status here and I can see, okay, these are my entitlements and they have gotten into the granted state. So the account is granted and it's green, so that means it's actually done it. And the permission is also granted. Now let's verify if it actually worked. I'm going to go into my HelloID user account and my users. And here's the account for Adam S. And it's still disabled. And that is because I've not granted the account access entitlement, which would enable it. If I would to add that entitlement to the business rule, run it again, evaluation and enforcement, then the account would become enabled. So here you go, a complete target connector with all the lifecycle components, the configuration, a way to retrieve permissions, and all based on the HelloID API. Thanks for watching.